Hi, and welcome to another FaceHAMMER show. It's me, Russ. I'm joined by Byron.
Joined by upstairs Byron rather than downstairs Byron.
Yeah.
It's warmer up here.
And I'm going to be talking about my experience going to Blackout, which Chris Tomlin's event, running Firestorm Games in Cardiff, with my Ossiarch Bonereapers under the new GHB. And the event
size on, wasn't it? Was it like 80?
Yeah, it was loads. It was like 80 players, so on and so forth, something like that. I do have the results here, so I can look at the last number. 90.
90, nice. So, and that's probably after a couple of dropouts, maybe. So
yeah, big event.
100-man event.
It was packed. There was loads of people as well that I hadn't seen for years. Like
literally years.
Yeah,
like 5.
Like Team Andy Joyce guys, like John Warmington, who actually played.
Lovely
just like
dude.
Loads of people, even like Richard Soresko and
that is old
popped
school.
in. Like, it's just
that's like
hello.
8th edition.
Yeah,
old.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like people from 8th Ed, like that I haven't seen for like 5 years, 6 years. So it's really weird. It was a bizarre experience. Made me feel really old. And you sort of say to someone, you say, "Oh yeah, so and so," and they're like, "Who's that?" And you're like, "Oh, I used to do loads of events." And they're like, "I've only played Age of Sigmar," and you're like, "Oh yeah, I forget. I've done like."
And only played Age of Sigmar, and now thanks to the COVID gap is like twice as long as you think only played Age of Sigmar is in your head. Because there's the bit where the rules didn't exist, so the game didn't exist before
2015, I think.
Fixed. Yeah, and then there's the gap of COVID, and then there's actually this tiny window which has been AOS publicly playable.
Because I think the first handbook was 2016, and AOS 1 came out 2015. I might be wrong. Correct me in the comments.
No points. Good ideas.
It's fine. We were on it.
Being fixed by the community since 2015.
Still feels that way, but we aren't voted now. That's the problem. So anyway,
segue. Are we going to cover the FAQ at the end of this as well, or is this?
Maybe do a separate thing on that. I can split it out. Cool. So just
because
you might
be
be interested in
guys.
Yeah. So if you didn't see, FAQ for General's Handbook dropped, which changed like Purple Sun and a few things. So that's basically the most significant thing. Is Purple Sun's changed?
Yeah, it's Purple Sun, then some fixes that are basically oversights with keywords. Two most significant things, I think.
Yeah, a few little clarifications and tidy ups, but the significant change to actually just we're changing the rules is Purple Sun. And speaking of Purple Sun, there was quite a few at the weekend.
Was it as high as Carnage proportion?
I actually have no idea because there's no stats.
Because we didn't do stats.
All I can see
Suns.
every table that I could add one on at least. So
one, I wouldn't be surprised if it was there for like 35 or 40 armies. Yeah,
and I mean, like, I'm not going to go through all the lists, but I could do a search, I suppose. Does this work?
Russ gets to sit on his high horse as well because he didn't turn up with the. Wait a minute, yes, he did. I think part of the problem is Purple Sun looks amazing. It looks really good in every army. You can paint it any color to match any army, and something that's quite bulky and spiky and aggressive. It just does a really good job of like you can get a center point to an army even if you don't have a dragon or whatever.
Yeah. So 17 according to my search function. Okay, then counting. So
20, more than 20, so about 25% actually. A quarter of the field had a sun.
Yeah. So quite a few.
I don't reckon that'll drop that much after the fix.
50 battle regiments, apparently. So it's quite a lot, isn't it? It's interesting. God. Let's try expert. If I spell it right, it would help, wouldn't it? Expert. Conk.
So basically, this is
39.
Wow. So
and then Bounty Hunter.
If people aren't aware what we're trying to search for here, this is how many armies fit into the 48. Fairly narrow, like, I'm turning up, I'm dropping in one with Purple Sun for lots of fun plan. Quite a lot of them. So
it looks like half the field were one drop and the other half went Bounty Hunters and Expert Conquerors. There might be some mixes in there, but it gives you, if 50 one drops, and someone might have had two as well, so it's not necessarily one per army. So there's 50 battle regiments, 48 Bounty Hunters and 39 Expert Conquerors. Formations.
Age of diversity on the go.
Let's see if Warlords dropped off. 27, so not really, but
no,
so
still, it's just solid for the armies that, like, especially with. I mean, Nurgle's stock has dropped slightly, not because they got any worse. They're just not the latest new hotness. I think there's certain armies that just really nicely. You don't care about one drop, so you just turn up and you're Warlord plus X or Y, which Nurgle probably falls into more than 95% of the time, I would say.
Yeah. And then my list, if people didn't know, this was the list I was going to take to Carnage. Literally, I didn't think about the list. I wasn't trying to be competitive. I was just like, it was a list I was going to take to Carnage for the lols. It was all in a box. And I thought, I'll just, rather than unpack it, pack something else, I'll just take my box and my list that I printed for Carnage.
Solid.
So I literally put 0-4. I was not feeling the Warhammer at this point. There's a lot going on in outside my personal life, which is causing a lot of disruption. So I just haven't had time to really do that.
Adoption. I think that it's a really sensible decision if you're a bit mentally overloaded to take something that involves less decisions, whether it's before or during or both.
Yeah, it's nothing bad before people get worried. It's just lots going on, so I'm just busy. So as you can see, I'm not sat in my chair because it's occupied by this little fella.
He knows how to handle mental overload.
He knows how to. Well, he doesn't actually. That's the issue. That's why he's sat there. Because
in the quiet space,
we've got. Well, apart from me talking, but we've got. Anyway, we've got more animals, strange animals. He's freaking out. He's also like getting super territorial, being out all night. So he's crashed out because he's out all night. He normally sleeps all night. So he's literally come in this morning and he just wants to find the furthest away place from all the other animals to sleep, which happens to be in my office.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'm
jealous.
I can leave him there. It's fine. So I'm sat on the kitchen chair, which is why my chair's in the background and it looks like I'm floating off of it. It's like I'm a... Yeah, anyway. I wish. So I took Bonereapers Petrifix Elite. My grand strategy is unrelenting efficiency, which means just keep one of my battle line units alive at the same size it started the game, which is actually quite hard to achieve. I should probably pick something else. Arcan the Black, because he's awesome. Mortis and Soul Mason with the God Bone Armor, which is the ignore the first wound every phase.
It's so good.
Yeah. I mean, I normally I don't put it on him,
right?
But it's actually quite useful on him because people do like to kill him. That's
great. It's really, really, really underrated as a rule.
Mm-hmm. It makes the actual Liege Cavalos so tanky.
That's disgusting. I mean.
He's got Empower Nadrite Weapons as his spell. I took a Bone Shaper for some extra healing. Took Arcan Command for the spell. Definitely shouldn't have bothered. RDP was not a problem. I could have literally given any other spell. And I might have used it. Is
it that situation where you just, if you have an opportunity to spend it, you spend it because you're just going to get to the end of your turn and have access?
Literally can't. I finished turns with 5 or 6 LDP.
And you were spending it everywhere possible?
Wherever I could. Yeah, the only turn you spend a lot is on turn 1 when you want to move extra 3 inches on everything.
Okay, yeah. That's
so, but you generally are not able to use it on much. I mean, like literally I was going plus range from Arcan. I was doing the reroll charges and runs on the stalkers, even if they weren't in combat. Even if they were in combat, just because like you might as well, just in case there's a chance I get to charge or I don't know, whatever, just no. And then like, then the Death Rider wedge on the cavalry when they charge, and then literally everything else is just reroll shields if you can use it.
Kind of nice to know that
bludgeon, so
that like everything of yours is going to be the tooled up version. Like you don't have to account for whether it's this stat or that stat in your head.
Because they just roar you and you can never tool up anything.
Well, Russell, we did have a chat recently about strength of raw, didn't we? And you were like, nah.
Well, I think it's a fundamental thing for those armies in terms of power, because if everyone could use like all out defense, they just drop off massively. But the problem with Mortec, they're just designed to work around the reroll saves, and there's now something that turns it off.
If which then try makes their points, who do you pick?
You can't pick their points.
Like the monsters being statted with the inclusion of raw, which I actually would argue I don't think they are. I think they're just statted and pointed, and then raw is on top. No. Or the infantry, or whatever else it is, having a specific ability that's intrinsic to
The problem with Mortec, if you look at what they actually do, they're just really overcosted, and if they don't, unless they get reroll saves, so basically you're paying for something you don't get to use if they raw you, and then if they raw you, they die too quickly, so you don't really get.
Anyway. Well, if you're paying for something that's meant to exist in the grind, it has to exist.
Well, that's their job. I mean, like without the Harvester, my army would just have no sustain, and that's really weird with a Petrifix Elite Bone Reaper army, you know.
Pretty strange, isn't it? Yeah,
I've got no redeploy, which sometimes is better than anything else. I can't use all-out defense, which is why they feel less sustainable, because you can look at their stats and go, oh, they've got a 4-up save, they've got stat line, they've got this.
3-up.
But they can't use all-out defense, so that's a massive thing. But if you can't use the reroll, you know, you don't get Mystic Shield off. Anyway, then I've got Liege Cavalos, which has got the Mighty Arcosium, which is +2 wounds, Helm of the Ordained, which is 12-inch. Every one of my units get +1 to hit, shooting their melee. 2 units 20 Mortec, 5 Death Riders, and that's purely the Death Riders for a bit of speed, and also the fact that they're quite an easy there's an easy battle tactic that if you charge something and you end your combat phase within 3 of an enemy unit, you score it. So all you've got to do is charge something
that isn't going to wipe you out,
pile in to tag something that isn't very hitty, kill the thing you're fighting, and then you don't allocate to that, and then you've done it. So I never actually did it in the event, didn't need to.
I don't think, in my opinion, Bone Reapers work in a non-team setting without one unit of Death Riders. I think they're really, really important.
I would take them all the time now, but I might even take 10.
Yeah.
So
2 5s.
No, 10.
Oh, I like the mega block.
Yeah, okay. Because I actually think Mortec don't have a place.
Yeah, I could see
maybe
that. In non-team
but they did
events
win me
again?
a couple games, so I don't know. It's
team events where you get to pick where they go into. They're badass, and they're going to win you the game. And otherwise, you might just get them wiped on a 3+.
So the Mortec are in Expert Conquerors, which was amazing in some of my games because people didn't bother with that or veterans, and they were just like, "You're never taking this." Even with like 4 models, it's like, oh, that's that's 12 capture power.
Where you come back feels real bad in that situation for your opponent.
Especially when you put 3 back on the opposite on the objective from the other side of the unit. When they die, then you put them back on the other side because you've used Arcan's heal or something. No rally though. Then you've got I've got 3 Stalkers, and they're in they're a bounty hunter with the Death Riders. So Death Riders can go out and kill a Galatian veteran unit because they get damage 2. You can empower their Netherite, give them reroll 1s to hit from Soul Guide, so they can go in and like smash something. And then I've taken a Harvester, and the Harvester is got a shooting attack. There's an easy battle tactic to kill something. Yeah, if you do it with a Harvester, you get a bonus point. So we like bonus points.
Oh, okay. Is he 4 3s and 3 friend 1 damage 1, range 18?
What, his shot? Yeah, but you could do it in melee, and he's a beast in melee. So he's like 10 attacks at damage 2 with mortals really on 6s, well. And he's got like you could give him bludgeon, so he could be extra rend. So
yeah, he's a tasty boy.
And also his cycling on the Mortec is really good. I think the one thing I'd probably drop out my list is the Bone Shaper, but then the double heal on the Harvester was really good because he can heal it free, and then Arcan do it free, so 6 wounds back. So it's
that's kind of like great unclean 1 levels. Of like if your opponent leaves it alive on 1 or 2 wounds, it's pretty demoralizing. It's good value. How are the Stalkers?
Great. They're the thing that do the damage. So the thing I worry about is someone going to kill them before they get to swing, because they're super they're super squishy.
So were you trying to keep them just pretty far out of range and then mitch them forward?
Yeah, normally behind the Mortec. Yeah, and then I've decided to take Bone Type Shrieker and Purple Sun. Purple Sun for the extra -1 save and the chance to actually kill big things that my army struggles with, because and also small heroes that hide behind stuff, because I can get extra range with Arcan, drop it, and then just roll dice and hopefully drop something. It was okay on the weekend. It was really good against Freddy's Beastman. I rolled really well with it. There was a couple of games where I played against Pete's Maw Crushers, and it would have actually killed them if I'd won the turn roll, because I hurt myself by actually rolling out what would happen, and I would have killed to both his Maw Crushers, but I lost the priority roll, so it's fine. I said if I won the priority roll, I'd have rolled an 11 to cast it, and it would have dropped with Arcane, so that's a 13. So you can't unbind it, and it would have dropped one down the hole. But anyway, wasn't to be. Purple Sun. Now the Bone Hive Shrieker is pretty good against infantry armies because there's no rally, there's no inspiring presence, so it's really good against daughters, beastmen, anything like that, because they can't they can't rally because like daughters can get a 4 at rally and stuff. So
is the rule no CP spent in a particular phase, or what?
It's no rally or inspiring presence within 12. Okay. And also, my whole army gets +1 to hit of any enemy unit within 12.
Yes.
So
value.
It's like, even if that doesn't matter, +1 to hit on your whole army. I've got it on the helm, but it allows me to have 2 blobs. It was really impactful in one scenario where I had to split my army up.
Counting your inability to spend other buffs that other people get. You just got a universal buff.
Yeah. And you just drop, and also you've got heroic action from the Mortars and Soul Mason. You've got to cast the spell, so it's not very good for Sun. But what you do is you say, like, oh, can't unbind me. And then you cast it, and they can't unbind it on the turn it drops. Then you charge, do loads of damage, then loads of stuff disintegrates.
It's reliability, yeah.
Yeah. It's a 6 to cast, so it's fairly easy to get it off. In the fact they can't unbind you is pretty massive. And also it puts pressure on your opponent's magic phase because they start having to, like, get rid of your endless spells. So I actually found it pretty good. I don't know if there's another, if like chromatic cogs on from like, and casting that with the shaper would have been good, but it's just more points. So, yeah, anyway, then I took Expert Conquerors, which allowed me to take the extra artifact, which was the helm. There was some debate for me whether to get a +2 to cast artifact on the soul chair guy, but I just like the helm. It's just static, +1 to hit, everything within 12. Your wound rolls aren't great, and I think if you just make sure you're always hitting on 2s, it just kind of levels that out. So
yeah, it cancels it.
You could take the Gothazar Cartouche for a +1 to wound bubble, but it's quite short range. It's wholly within 9 of the chair, and you're normally at the back. So
more restricted, yeah.
So that was the list. I went 3 wins, 2 losses. I'll quickly run through stuff. I'm not going to go blow for blow, because end of the day, it's like, I don't know how useful it is for people, but
you were SOB first round, weren't you?
Yeah,
the big boys.
Jack Davenport's Sons of Behemoth. And the way this game sort of panned out is we were playing, I think it's called Close to the Chest. Now, I was really struggling with the handbook because I've not played under it really. So trying to remember all the rules and the switch offs and that's a proving ground. And then this one had a really weird setup. So it's like an L shape like that. And the territory runs on that line, but then the objectives are like here, like off the line. Now, I don't know why. In my head, I thought the objectives were on the border of the territory, and I deployed 9 away from them. And that's just really silly because I didn't need to do that. Yeah. But actually, it probably helped me because I didn't need to be that far forward against him. Yeah. You can see I kind of made a line here of guys. So this is basically like I made this like wall, and literally, and like without breaking it down into too much detail, he charged me with Gargants, roared me, and deleted my Mortec over the game. Basically, I killed a couple Gargants, but I couldn't really touch his general. We got him. I think I took him down to like 5 wounds or something. Sun never really came off, and I just wasn't able to pull it back, and that was a loss. But if you roll your roars, the Mortec just...
You could sum up my doing well at Carnage with whether I won and whether my opponents lost roars. Every game, almost.
Yeah, the issue I've got with the Gargants as well is some of them can like pick up and kill the Hecatos in the unit, which turns off the thing as well. So you've got to be quite careful. So you kind of got to put like the Mortec and then the Hecatos at the back. So like, so he's more than 3 away from the front of the unit, so they can't pick him up. But this was really helpful having the 2 buildings because it's impassable. So that allowed me to they couldn't get around me basically.
They're so quick. After turn 1, they can be basically anywhere they like if someone's played aggressively.
Yeah.
Which I guess Jack was, because that's what he does.
I just lost the priorities. Like, if I won a couple of the priorities, it would have been different, because I could have actually, like, dropped a Gargant, not be charged, not take the mortal wounds.
Yeah. Well, you've got high quality of attacks with Purple Sun, especially, is pretty decent.
Because it's -1
down.
save. And if, like, for example, the Stalkers get a charge and activate first against the Gargant, they can drop half its wounds off easily.
So good.
Because they're like, you can make them damage 2 on the guys in the unit and damage 3 on the Dread Falchions, but also like rend 4, rend 3, because you can bludgeon with Sun and they've got rend anyway. So it's like, I think the Falchions are rend 2 and the Spirit Blades are rend 1. So you get +2 rend technically. So it's rend 3, rend 4. So basically you just go roll loads of dice and then you can get reroll ones to hit with Soul Guide.
Really good. Really, really good.
+1 to hit because they're in range of a Shrieker or the guy with the helmet. So
just like make your wound rolls and your opponent might not get a save.
2s, 3s, reroll 1s, then wounds on 3s. So you just like go. I generally think there's some. I think I can't remember the chap's name, but someone was. I think it was Ollie was doing really well with like units of 6 Stalkers, and you can make them battle line, so they're veterans and they can fight within half an inch. And I think as well they've got one of their aspects is reroll saves, so it can't be rawed. So actually, you think about it, 6 of them is 24 wounds with reroll saves on a 4-up, ignore round 1. So they're same as Mortek Guard with a 6-up ward. The difference is you can't replace them. But actually, do you care?
You can just run them out solo as well, can't you? Because they're so independent.
And they get reroll charges with a CP with flying.
That third of the table.
They could be movement 9 as well. Like, and then reroll charge. So like, I actually think that maybe it's a good thing to do that and just ignore. And then you wouldn't be tied into Arcan because you'd be like, the healing doesn't bring models back. So I don't. You probably take Arcan anyway, but then you think you might take Catacross in rather than go Petrifix. Take Catacross in Mortis Praetorian and give you a whole army +1 armor save.
Okay. And what you just have like 2/3 of the table is Catacross and some stuff, and then they take a flank and mob it off.
Maybe, or you just blob up the middle of the table. Like,
depending on scenario and objectives.
You might. I mean, you could even do cute stuff with the 2-inch reach guys behind a line of rerollable save guys.
I
mean, I think Catacross heals as well, so if he heals, Arcan heals. So, I mean, you can heal them, but you just if they die, you can't bring them back.
You can't bring them back.
The odd wound off.
No resurrection. Yeah, it's like trolls, isn't it? But they're trolls that have the option to power themselves up a lot.
It's interesting. I just don't fancy building and painting like another 12 Stalkers or something. So
maybe just
and then you don't know the next handbook, which might even be out in like 3 months, and the list won't exist, because if they take rid of that get relation veteran rule, then there's no point because you can't fight reach. So who knows? So anyway, so like it was a good game. Jack was a nice chap. I do apologise for being a bit rusty and slow, but we played the game out. But there was a couple turns I thought I could pull it back, and it just went away from me.
Priority against Gargants. You feel it if you don't. You really do.
Then we played Realmstone Cache, and I played against John Wilmington Snurgle. That's Bloab on the Toad model. He put he had 2 Blight Kings with Gutrot Spoon, and he come up on my right flank, failed both his charges. I just blobbed Mortek into the middle, and it was like, well, you're never getting that. And I charged 1 unit of Mortek Harvester and the Liege Cavalos into his Blight King blob with Gutrot, and they just literally ground it off and killed it all over the game.
Absolutely.
You can see from this carnage here, you can see there's Gutrot, there's the 2 units, and I'm just grinding it out with what I've got here. And the Harvester was just sat in range, healing models back, and it was kind of like they were just very grindy. Disease points as well, because I'm healing, I can just take the disease off.
Yeah.
So
I played that match before.
Ossiarch Bonereapers are pretty good against Snurgle.
Yeah, they are. We worked out that I just didn't need to roll any combats whatsoever, apart from
see how
one
many
against
6s you get.
5 cav. Yeah, I just didn't need to do it.
The good thing as well, because you've got the spell, which is Drain Vitality, where they've got a re-roll 6s to hit.
Oh, so good.
It's just
May as
like
well just
it
not
just
bother.
turns them
Don't
off
bother.
completely.
Yeah. 1 in 36 is slightly worse than a 1 in 6.
It's good against bow snakes as well. And with Arcan, it's a 24-inch range, so you can pretty much get what you want. Yeah, it was a good game. I haven't played John Wilmington since it was really funny because we were playing and he had his old 2 Brothers of Sigmar markers from 2017, and I've actually still got them as well. So I had the circle with BOS 2017 on it, and I was like, there you go, still got your markers. So most of my markers are from Matt, but they're pro painted, but you know, he did me all these Ossiarch ones with the dials and stuff. I wanted them in different colors so they kind of stand out.
Yeah.
And then what was it was quite funny because it just ended up being it was a nice catch up actually. And we haven't seen each other for ages, but yeah, it was I think he was a bit surprised to be playing me on like the bottom 10 tables or something at the event. So you know, he said, "Oh, what are you doing down there?" I said, "Well, I just lost game 1 today, so it's fine." It's really funny with OBR because against some armies, the army can feel really like oppressive, and against other armies, it just falls to bits. But there's my setup there. So I've got my bastion of Mortec with my harvester between the 2 units and cavalry on one flank, shielding the stalkers because I don't want them getting killed. Arcan in the pocket like the quarterback. You know, my running back of the Liege Cavalos, and
Your plays worked out well then.
tight end is the yeah, my wide receivers probably the stalkers. I'll probably go with that. Touchdown. No. Anyway, so then I had the pleasure of playing Freddy with Beastman. This was the Prize of Galet where you activate an objective a turn. We misplayed the scenario because Freddy was like, "Oh no, it's 1 a turn and it turns off," and I thought, "No, I'm sure they stay turned on," and they do. And he thought it was just the 3 in the middle and the ones either side stayed on all the time, and it's not. It's just so the game would have been different, but we both played the same mission, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah. Was he the normal 180 wounds worth of stuff?
Billions of stuff. So like
standard Beastman.
And he was playing Grave Spawn, so if you kill a hero, you just put a spawn down within 6, and you can then tag stuff in combat that you weren't in combat with. It's just like, what? Really?
Yeah, it's wobbly.
It's just like a wobbly old rules that shouldn't exist. Because I thought that just seems really silly. Because like my Purple Sun,
if it was a more popular army, it would have been fixed.
And then he pinned my Mortec with a spawn in my go, and I was like, that's just retarded. Like
it's grim, isn't it? Yeah.
But I can't complain because my Purple Sun was silly.
Boy.
There was a lot of in the game. Like I had this. There was a point where the sun was in the middle of his army, so it was rolling like 5 or 6 units. She had 2 big Bestigal blobs, 2 big Dragon Ogre blobs, a couple Shagoffs, a Spheranx, a Beast Lord, some Ungors, and he had some Ungor ambushes that are battle lines, so they get the automatic 2 in your territory, and their Galatian veterans get a bonus. So it's like you get +3 on one turn. Now basically the game came down to he dragged one of my Mortec units forward with a spell, rolled a 9. Then we did a debate. We didn't know. It says like you move the unit forward directly towards the enemy, closest enemy unit. And I was like, does that mean I go into combat? Because he said, "Oh, you go into combat." I was like, "Do I?" It's not a charge though. And I was like, "Yeah, but it's not a normal move, which has the restriction, or a retreat, or a run. It's a you move." So I'm like, "Well, I don't know. How do you want to play it?" We didn't really know. We just diced it off. That's what I diced it. So it turned out I didn't. It would have been better for me if it did, because what it would have done is pinned his Dragon Ogres in front of his Bestigor. But because it didn't, I think in hindsight, I think you probably can move into combat with it. In hindsight, it would have meant. But anyway, so he was able to then move his Dragon Ogre sideways and move the Besticle forward, make me fight last, buff himself, charge my Mortec, roar them with the Shag off, and then just deleted the unit. So without me fighting, because I didn't get a chance. So lost unit Mortec turn 1, which was pretty grim. And then basically the game, I put Protection of Gash on Arcan. This was the biggest thing. And I've got any pictures, any more pictures, don't think. No, so basically what happened is he then charged into me. He doubled me, charged in, hit Arcan with Dragon Ogres. He didn't die, teleported, and I put him right at the back of the board, like over here, like where his hands are. And then he then moved, charged, piled in, and kicked the herdstone over, which dropped all his rend.
Ooh, that's a big change, isn't it? Yeah.
And then like I basically then he couldn't touch my units because no rend, and I've got saves, and I just ground him off, and literally I killed the Purple Sun, killed the Mindseeker Sphinx, a spawn, 2 Dragon Ogres, 3 Hounds, bizarrely. You know, it just did work. It just did loads of work. I think it killed a Shaggoth as well, and plus the rend, and also the Bone Type Shrieker was like can't rally, can't inspire. I'm at +1, so he was like trying to get rid of it every turn because it was like a nightmare spell for him.
Yeah.
So he always had to prioritize that over Sun.
Yeah.
Which is kind of makes my Sun stronger. So
yeah,
a good game. I got my revenge on Freddy from Warhammer World, so happy with that. It was tough because I don't know any of the rules of Beastman. I was just, oh god, this is so much mind. It's like last time I played, we were playing Cities. I was like, what was all them Paladors? I was like, what was all this? So much jank. So, but yeah, it was a good game. I think, it was. I think he cost himself the game by taking the double and going in, because it also allows me to then pick a proving ground and all that kind of stuff. Which when I've got my Mortec spread on 2 objectives, also I get to activate the objectives. So I just activated one and made it a proving ground, and then I was like, well, if you come for that, then you know you're not getting off me. So
I always forget that stuff
because his best of gore aren't veterans because they're not battle line in this list. And the Dragon Ogres have got too many wounds. So basically, like, my Mortec were like expert conquerors, Galatian veterans on a proving ground. Good luck.
Wow.
Yeah, not getting them off. So, yeah, it's a good game.
2 out of 3?
2 wins, 1 loss, yeah. So, then I played Pete Brizzo, Fondrite, Goddrak, Maw-Crusher, some Ard Boys. Not much to say about this game other than he made a load of like errors around the middle trying to charge, and then he was like, oh, I need to tag both units with Gordrak because he couldn't quite get them both in. Doesn't need to charge both into one unit. We'll take one Maw-Crusher. The Maw-Crusher general will kill it on his own.
If you get the raw,
done. But Goddrak's quite squishy, so he did get the raw.
Very squishy.
Deleted unit Mortec. I then was able to kill Goddrak
pretty easily. He's only got a 4+ save. Then
he won the turn roll. Deleted the other Mortec, and the Chondrite basically went in and started causing me hassle. I did enough damage to drop it. I did like 13 wounds. He rolled a 17 on it, so it didn't drop a level. Then the next turn, I did drop it a level. Then he won the turn roll again. He killed Arcan. Basically just went fast and move, being charged, kill him, because he was right in the back of the corner of the board, but I can't get away from him. Mm-hmm. And then basically what happened was so he come in and killed this unit here, and then like Goddrak's here. I managed to kill him with the Harvester. He won the turn roll, deleted the other Mortec. I used the Harvester and the Cavalos, and I charged. And what I did the command ability where once the Cavalos is fought, I can immediately fight with the Harvester. But the problem with that is that both the Liege Cavalos and the Harvester count as receiving and issuing a command.
Yeah.
So basically, I can't use.
So 2 are going, but they're not at the same level they would be.
So I can't use a command like bludgeon +1 attack. So it's like, well, basically, I'm lowering my efficiency to have 2 activations.
Yeah. Did it work out?
Yeah, killed him to the wound.
Squeaky bum.
Yeah, and then like I didn't quite get the Incarnate down, which because he basically made the 3d6 roll, and it just felt really bobbins.
That's a reason it's not in a lot of events.
It just shouldn't exist, and then you can't retreat and stuff. And then what cost me the game was in this situation here, he'd gone off and killed Arcan, and then what he did is in my 3rd turn after he won the turn roll again, I was like, so his big Maw-Crusher went 1 Mortec, next turn the other Mortec, next turn Mighty Destroyers, fast and kill Arcan. Then he was like 11 inches or 10 inches away from one of my units because I was piling in round the Incarnate to get away from him. I did my Bone Nexus, D6 charge on a 4-up, fail it. He then goes into my charge phase. He charges the Maw-Crusher in my go, rolls a 7, fails a charge. But then the Incarnate gives you reroll charges.
Not restricted per phase, is it?
And then he just rolled an 11. And then I was just, we ran out of time, and I was just like, because Pete was being he was being quite like second guessing himself all the time. So I think the problem with like Iron Jaws is you dictate the game completely. And if you're not sure what you're doing, what your priorities are, where you're going to move, you could take ages like thinking about that. And
there's a huge difference in the speed playing proactively and reactively with them.
Yeah,
I think like you either make a plan, you do it, and it happens really well or really badly, really fast, or
so we didn't play my end of my turn 3, turn 4, turn 5. So I still had some play. I still had my cavalry. I still had my harvester, still my stalker, still cavalry, still a character. So I was like, well, I still got some army left.
50%.
But and he's lost the Incarnate's creaking, probably going to drop. Yeah. And he's lost like 1 unit of our boys. He's got like our boys and war chanters in the middle of the table. But like I was like, I could charge my cavalry in, and their bounty hunters kill the unit of things. But anyway, we didn't have time, so I just said, well, we'll just call it there. I'm not that bothered. It's fine. Incarnate's stupid. So his list would be way better if he didn't take Gordrak. I don't know why he's got him in the list, because he doesn't have Big War. So I just said just take 2 normal Maw Crushers because you save some points.
Yeah, Gordrak's a trap. His points. Yeah, especially.
But yeah, it was all right. But he roared.
Could have been a game to you pretty easily. By the sounds of things,
kept winning the raw. So roared me both times. So that's it. Yeah. Game over.
Roar.
So stupid. Then last game, I had the pleasure of playing Ben Curry. So cool. This is quite interesting because it's kind of like the same mission, but rather than like that side you set up here, they're like that and you set up here. And he's playing Daughters.
That's a surprise. Daughters with Marathi.
Yeah, well, I think it's all he's got now. It was nice to play Ben because like we played with my Deepkin and stuff, and he kind of could have smashed me, but I think he messed up here because he was like a one drop. He got to dictate the turn. He took the turn. He tried to kill the harvester. I forgot they could shoot in the hero phase. Luckily, I was just out of range. Played for. So he moved forward and shot it and did like 9 wounds to it. I was like, he's got 1 left, but I left him within 3 of Marafi's tail from the Mortec. So he YOLO'd her in, and then but what he did is he also charged in the Witch Elf blob. And I don't forgot a photo of it, but basically, like you can tell from the photos what happened. So he charged in his blob here, and then he activated them and attacked the Mortec guard. Now what he didn't realize is, or he did realize, but he just forgot, is that when a model dies, you realize you can heal a wound. You don't have to put it back in the same unit. Yeah. So I just started healing the harvester.
Up. Yeah.
Then I activated the Mortec and killed a load of witch owls. Then I got the harvester back up to like only 3 wounds taken. So he's got 7 left. Marafi then did 6 damage to him and left him on 1 wound.
Oh, so he bled in like a huge proportion of his damage to something that ended up being alive.
Yeah,
and you could heal in your turn.
The big thing about that is that it kept my Mortec alive, so she didn't kill the Mortec. She was pinned. He took 3 wounds back in his turn 1.
Yeah.
In my turn 1, I healed the harvester basically back up, healed the Mortec, and was like, because I had like 6 wounds on the harvester, 3 wounds into both Mortecs, and I was like, should be all right.
You just hear you got your job. You're going to grind her out.
She then took another 3 damage. And then I killed all the witch elves, and it gave me an easy battle tactic because he had like 2 witch elves left, and I was like, well, I'll do the tactic where, because he couldn't use immune to battle shot because the Shrieker was out as well that turn, so it gave me a battle tactic which is like kill a veteran with a veteran. You got 1 model left, so that's fine. In the middle of a Mortec blob, so I'll do that, and then basically I tried to like move the stalkers up around the back and charge around the back. The cavalry went through this gap and then charged into his unit of 10 witches here. So I just thought, if I kill his veterans, then I make the middle a proving ground. He's not going to be able to capture that, which is what happened. And then because when in his go, he did a tactic to kill the Mortec and take the middle, he failed the raw. So I didn't lose the Mortec. Then I piled in and tagged the objective, which I made a proving ground, which meant he couldn't capture it. Then I won. It denied him. You got 1 point in that turn, and that was basically game.
You feel you weren't at overload as much by games 4 and 5 in day 2 as you were 1, 2, and 3? Because you're pretty good techie play there.
I think the thing is with Ben, he knows what he's doing. He's a very quick player. He's competitive, but he also doesn't he's not that finicky about stuff. And I know him, and we're quite relaxed. So, and we're both like on table 17 after losing 2 games, so we're not bothered,
Yeah.
So we're just having a nice relaxed game. It's like a club game. like with your mate. But he
I like
knows his
playing
stuff, and he's just like, bah, 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 bah.
Really
He doesn't
knows
mess
his
around
stuff.
thinking about stuff. He just goes, yeah, do it, whatever.
Yeah.
Then afterwards he goes, oh, I probably shouldn't have done that. Then he learns for next time, but he doesn't. I think the problem is if you overthink everything and try and think the best thing to do, you just don't learn.
Analysis paralysis.
I think sometimes you just do it.
You're just always getting a rep for the next game.
And then you go, okay, that should have been this. Then you learn. By doing, not by trying to work it out in your head. It's like,
you don't know if you
can't
don't
know
pick one
because
option.
it's dice.
You can't rule it out. Yeah.
No. But basically, my best thing about this game is in my turn 2, because he went again. So he had a turn, I had a turn, he had a turn. Marafi's taken 9 wounds. My purple son is, you could see in the middle of his army, trying to drop the cauldron, didn't work. Marafi then, in my go, she's only got 3 wounds left. So I was like, how do I kill her? So the best way to kill her is with Curse of the Years, because that's a story. So I cast Curse of the Years and killed her with Curse of the Years.
Oh,
so
sick.
it's like, it's like, yeah. It's like old school Warhammer. Love it.
Hat. Yeah.
Then I just took him to bits. Basically, after that, it was Stalkers went in, deleted that. He just called the game because he all he had left was like 1 unit of base snakes. I think I lost 20.
I remember from where long enough ago that it was pre-coded. Fire Slayers were strong, Daughters were strong, and then Mortec appeared. Like the infantry war was like that's where OBR were really, really strong. In fact, at the old Firestorm, you took them and played against. I think when we did a team event, you just generally we were trying to match you up into other infantry with your OBR, and you just consistently ground them out. That's their good matchups, and that's why they were strong then because there was a lot of
Fire Slayers army that Namvar was
there's
using.
a lot of it.
But I was using Mortis Praetorium with Catacross and double catapult.
Okay.
I actually think catapults might have a place now with Sun as well. So
yeah, of course, yeah, let's make a difference. Makes a big difference.
Yeah, I just
so you went 3 wins. Could have I'd say that's kind of like 3.5 because
2 of the games I could have won. Just they roared me. And then
not even that. You didn't finish it. You only played 50% of the game.
Well, one of them, yeah. I mean, the game against Jack was fine. That was concluded. So yeah. But I mean, to be honest, like Nurgle Daughters Beastman, not bad matchups for me. The issue with OBR is they take a lot of time to play because there's a lot of dice rolling. Because a lot of armies have lost all this re-rolls, but you still got like reroll to hit on a 1, exploding, wound. Then they've got you got a save. Then you've got a ward save. Then you've got a harvester save. So your rolling needs to be like fast. So if your opponent's slow, it's really hard work. But I wasn't particularly super fast because I wasn't that up on my rules, especially in the first couple of games. I was by day 2, and also the handbook because I've not played the handbook.
You were playing more competently and technically under it than I was in my first event with it. I could just even thinking of proving grounds and stuff was far too much for me.
It's one of the things about the OBR that's good is that you almost don't have to worry about reacting to them.
Yeah.
So sometimes my opponent's having a go and they're trying to measure 9 away. I'll just stay outside and I said I can't redeploy. You just do what you want, and they almost they don't even take advantage of that because they're still used to playing against stuff that can. So
and you can just sit there making your plan for when you get to go,
which I'll take. That was my games. So good fun. I got a painting nomination, so happy about that.
It looks great.
I was going to upscale the army, but I just like all these things. Life got in the way, so. Now I will try and sort this out now. So hopefully this works. I think that might have already worked. Okay, yeah. So final standings. So Phil Marshall won with Seraphon birthday weekend, 30 years old. So well done, Phil. Sorry I've outlived your age. I just turned 40, so it's fine. I could do that now. Christian Robertson with Soulblight Gravelords, which is unusual. See them up there. Then Matt Roberts with Seraphon, and Greg Shelton with Soulblight Gravelords. So Andy Hughes with Nighthaunt, Marco with Maggot Cane, then Goldsborough with Lumineth, and Chris Myhill with Seraphon, then Laurie with Sylvaneth, then Alex Bruce with Maggotkin.
A lot of lizards up there.
Then Ollie Ossiarch Bonereapers, which is the list I was talking to you about. So, and then Mike Wilson, Nighthaunt, then Sylvaneth, then Maggotkin. So you've got Maggotkin, Sylvaneth, Nighthaunt.
Variety.
It's
most of it's 4 armies.
Yeah, it's very yeah.
So Marathon, Nighthaunt, Maggotkin. Were the Maggotkin the Magalords armies, or were they flies?
Mix, I think. I think
Yeah.
Alex Bruce, who come
each
10th, had
of the
all
two.
the flies.
Yeah.
And I think Marco's was a balanced list. So I met Marco for the first time at this event. He's a really nice chap. So yeah, we got on really well. So it was nice. Him and Curry played, and then we were on the table next to me and Pete, and then I played Curry, and then Pete played Marco. And Marco beat Pete, that's why he's up there. And then I finished 21st, which I'm quite happy with.
Yeah.
Which is, considering I lost 2 games, I think that's a pretty good result out of 90.
Definitely good.
I mean,
pretty close to top 10.
Yeah. I would have liked to have got a bit higher, but it doesn't really matter. It's fine.
What was your I know it was all new, but disregarding how new it was, what did you feel about playing under the latest GHB? Because obviously we've been fairly constructively critical of it. What do you think?
Once you're over the learning curve and you've played probably like 10 games of it, you probably don't even notice it in terms of the complexity. I still think that a lot of games will go into time. And I also think that I think there's a lot of stuff missed, forgotten about, stuff like Proving Grounds. I just think there's too much, and like I don't think it adds to the game experience in terms of like, oh yeah, decisions are better, or the real winner wins, or
not one bit,
anything like that. So for me, it's almost like it's unnecessary. Doesn't enhance the game. It doesn't mean the game's bad. It's just like all this stuff you could literally just have. Score 1, score 2, score more, battle tactic, forget all the veterans, all the formations, everything, and it'll still be a good game. You don't need it. AOS2 didn't have it. You don't need it.
Yeah.
And I think that you're just adding bloat. I found it clunky to play under. The whole Proving Ground veteran and all decision making on that, I don't like that, because you've got to decide which objective. In one of the scenarios, I thought Realms Going Cash basically
choice to be enjoying a game, do you? We're not playing like alternate activations. It's not that type of game.
I know some people say the scenarios are good, but I just found like Realms Going Cash, blob in the middle, you win. I found the one that's the weird deployment with you activate a prime, they pick a prime, and they're just too confusing. Then there's the one with the 5, you turn 1 on a turn. That I don't like that one at all. I actually preferred the version me and Freddie played, which was wrong. So, and then like the diagonal ones are fine. I'm like, I don't. Yeah, I mean,
they feel like computer game scenarios to me. Unless something's flashing reminding you it's that important, I just don't think the vast majority of the audience or the player base are capable of holding everything in mind that they need to play it correctly, or even close to correctly.
No, I'm not going to whinge about it too much. I don't. Do I like it? No. Will I play under it? Have to at events. Do I go to events?
Is it a good
idea? Do I enjoy? Do I want to write a new army and paint a new army for it? No, knowing that 6 months down the line, or even less than that now, another one's coming. So me, it's just ride this out.
Yeah, I think that's the best case scenario for it.
See what the next one is. Hopefully it's
cross
good.
Fingers.
If not,
yeah,
then ride that one out.
Can we chat about Raw? Because I think it's people maybe, depending on how much they've played or thought about this type of stuff, might not have considered why it is how it is. So I feel like Raw was written or came into the game in a time when you could switch Raw off. So you had a hard, strong thing, and then you had a hard, strong counter being Hunters, the Half-Huns. And that's Hunters isn't like a dice roll either. It's you just can't, period.
Yeah,
don't even get
just,
to try
it
and
just restricts your army in terms of drops, or you need certain units.
But yeah, and so you saw it, like, that's why you saw so many 3 drops, because people 1 drop plus this, or, they were Warlords plus that. And it was really, really, really common, like almost mandatory, because it was so good. And now we don't have one and we do have the other. It just feels nuts. I didn't enjoy the feeling of winning my games on Raws at all, or one bit, or feel it was fair, or especially when yours goes off and your opponent's doesn't. Basically, the game's over at that point frequently. It just feels like a 2/3 chance that it happens and a 1/3 chance that it doesn't happen. Both those are real big swings frequently.
It's so big on a 3+.
I just don't think it should do the strength of the effect that it does. Like, I don't know what would be thematically appropriate for it to still be worth spending on that value, or maybe put it to a 2+ and have it be a much less effect, like something that
I just wish it was
affects
something
bravery,
like -1
bravery
to
a
hit
lot,
or something.
Yeah.
So like it just made your opponent -1 to hit. Like,
well, it should be better against non-monsters. So something to do with bravery, and you're a monster, you're going to do some damage. Like,
no, maybe I don't know. It is what it is.
Can't use inspiring presence, like.
Yeah, maybe, but then it's so niche, and it's a different phase, and then you don't use it in that phase, and then you're just going to kill the unit anyway, so you don't need to inspire. So like,
if you're a Maw Crusher, yeah.
it is what it is. Like, there's plenty of stuff in the game like that that's really powerful. I don't think it's that, because there is a dice roll. If it was automatic, then yeah, it'd be stupid. But I think it's just as bad for the person using it, because like if you commit to like a unit and you fail the roll, then you might lose your monster. So it's like,
yeah, I just hope that nothing else comes in piggybacking a similar mechanic. That I
don't think it's like it's either. The problem is because the way like the odds work. Sometimes that's the difference between killing it or not killing it, and then that might mean you die, and then so it's huge, but it's only huge because you're using a big model like a Gargant or like a Maw Crusher,
a quarter of your army.
Yeah. Model, yeah. So, but then that's no different than if you went in and just whiffed your attacks. So, like, I don't know, like maybe the only reason for me it felt a bit rubbish is because I got all this resource. And what I used to enjoy about Ossiarch Bonereapers is the resource management, and that's just gone. Because literally you just go, yeah, whatever, do all that. Can't spend them. All right, they go in the bin next turn. Roll dice to get more, but what's the point? You know, cast Arcane Command, what's the point? And I think the problem is that kind of made me feel like the army doesn't feel like I'm doing any resource management. Like when you play another
slightly
army,
irrelevant in
your command points precious. RDP just felt like I've got abilities. They might as well have just been special rules on the War Scrolls.
Yeah.
And that is but then I don't want to feel like RDP starved because I feel like the army's underpowered. So I don't know. It is what it is. I just play it. I just accept it. It's in the core rules. It ain't going to get changed, is it? So anyway, segue into awards. So there was you can go to @the_black_sun on Twitter, which is Chris's account. He's tweeted results, pictures, all the armies, people's handles. I literally just go onto Twitter and look at his timeline, give him a follow, and then you can see everything here. So there was an award for the best dragon. It's sponsored by the Tyromancer, and that was Aaron Hazel Stardrake. He said he couldn't find his Twitter handle, but yeah, it's really nice. So you can feel free to follow along at home. So that's the chat there. So then we had best painted. So Lawrence, with his Iron Jaws army, won best voted and also best player voted and best judges. So both, basically. The Good double. Tim Fisher come in third with his OBR. Chris Myhill came second with his lovely Deepkin. Nice to see him. And then we've got best in faction. So got Ollie with Ossiarchs. I think that's Ollie. We had these are in a really random order. I do apologise. So he had the last place award, which was the I Love Margaret Thatcher Appreciation Award, which has gone to Rich. The person who comes last gets to name it. So whatever Rich names it, I really don't want to know because yeah, it's probably going to be something graphic. Then we had best sporting, which was let me just go up here. So best second place, best army, first place was Lawrence. Then judges' choice was also Lawrence. And John Williams with his corn was most sporting. And then it was the wooden spoon. Previous winner was I don't know why I was meant to follow along and read this out. Was @Pissball General, and then gave it to @Richard_B1 Rich Belfield with his Skaven, who come last. And then Matt Roberts with Seraphon was the Sentinel of Order. Sorry, I thought he was the ABR player. Of course, he's not the ABR player. Then we had the best Death General was Greg Shelton. So nice to see him. Don't know why this is not. Let me show you. I'm just going to show you the timeline. It's easier. My pictures aren't working for some reason.
Good. I see Greg appearing. Long time death.
Yeah. So apologise if there's any sketchy Twitter ads, because it's Twitter. It's not me. So you've got the Bringer of Death, which is Greg come forth with Soulblight. So really well done. Really good result. Mark Storer with the Sons of Behemat, but he doesn't have a photo because he wasn't there. Marco with Maggotkin. So yeah, all good. And then let's say Matt Roberts with Seraphon was third. The best in race was done on battle tactics and highest placing. So if you're wondering why the podium was not the best,
yeah.
Then Christian Robertson with Soulblight, and Phil Marshall with Seraphon. So Seraphon and Seraphon and Soulblight sort of sandwiched in the middle. And then we've got some best armies that were nommed. So let me go back to
Normally a pretty strong crowd at Tomlin's events for the painting, isn't there? Was it the same here?
Very strong. Yeah, very strong. So I'm hoping I can get these on the down low. Yeah, okay, cool. So this is like Lawrence's Maw Crusher, if it's working. There we go. His army is heavily converted. You can see by this. So it's really, the picture doesn't really do it justice. This is the sketchy one from Twitter. If you go on Twitter, because it doesn't really like you downloading pictures, if you go on, look at the timeline and just look at them there. But yeah, it's really nice. So you can see from his Catacross sort of style Orc Warlord, just the level of detail of this army is insane. It came to FACEHAMMER. It generally always wins, because it should. Then you had like Andrew Lewis's. These pictures are awful. The resolution's completely gone. So downloading pictures from Twitter, it's not a good idea. Then I can't bring them full screen, so you have to like look at them. Anyway, so then you had Glenn's like Caradron army with loads of boats, which is really interesting. They're like converted. Yeah, Glenn Chalk, he come and said hello and said thanks for the show. So thanks for watching and listening. So yeah, cool army. Then we had the Sons of Behemat army in there. Don't know whose that is. Oh yeah. It is Jack Davenport's. I did play against that one. There's another Iron Jaws army, which was Stu. These are all the nominations. Then with Mike Wilson's Nighthaunt, I recognise those. You have to excuse the fact these pictures are kind of small and grainy. Yeah, so Mike Wilson with his army. I'm going to stop doing this now because they're bad pictures. This is Tim Fisher's Catacross. His OBR is beautiful.
He's always solid, Tim.
Yeah,
always,
yeah. His Arcane.
And he just sells his armies off. So probably someone else will own that army in like 2 weeks.
Tim Fisher. Tim doesn't.
Oh, I thought you said it's Tim Fisher.
No. Sorry, Tim Pierce.
Oh yeah, don't sell that.
Yeah.
Ever.
No, Tim Fisher wasn't there. It's a blast of the past. No. Then you've got Chris Mills, IDNF. So I'm just going to show you some pictures of this. So you can look at if you've got a YouTube channel. He's done like some how to paint guides. But yeah, so his IDNF Deepkin by Chris Fluff Mills,
Such a good painter,
which came second. So I'm not going to stop doing the armies. And I know there's people who got nominated, but the pictures are bad. You know, you've got
well done on your nums, peeps.
Matt Clark,
strong field,
Matt Goldsborough.
Good armies.
You know, then you've got Hazel Moon. Then you've got I don't know who this Gargant army is. They're me. So there you go.
Then Russ.
Yeah, done. So yeah, that was kind of the event. Had a lot of fun. So yeah, it was.
Let's get one in after your last one being cancelled last minute.
Yeah, I still don't really feel like I was prepped enough for it, and I always feel like it's a bit of a learning event, so it wasn't really the event I wanted to go to. But
so a question then: Would you take OBR to your next event? Would you take modified OBR to your next event? What would be your approach? Let's say it's completely out of the book GHB.
If I wanted to do competitive OBR, I've got a few ideas for this. But I do not want to build and paint a new army list because I don't know if in 3
in a
months'
few months.
time it'll be good.
Yeah, particularly when it changes your unit choices as much as it does with OBR.
Because I almost have to like buy and paint loads of stalkers, cavalry, and I think it might be really good, and it might still be good in the next handbook. Or I could just keep my army, except it's not the best it can be, and just take that. I don't
Maybe change one unit or something.
The problem is that the game's almost shifting so much. I almost feel like you've got two choices. One is to try and like cycle through the meta. The other one is just collect one army and have a big collection
Have all the options.
It comes good.
Yeah. That's got to be a army that has the option to be dead good though, right? Because some just don't get.
Yeah, but it might in the future. Like you might get a new army book and a new handbook, and they come together, and it's a good combo, and you're like, great. So Nighthaunt's a prime example. You've had a Nighthaunt army for years. Suddenly, the Nighthaunt book comes out, and the handbook buffs infantry. Your army's like winner. Then you ride that out until the FAQs and the nerfs hit in the next handbook, and then you buy a new army. That's the issue I have. I don't like that. I like to play an army. I want to play. I'd rather things were just a little bit more stable.
Yeah.
And the end bit that you're playing with is smaller, and the base is bigger in terms of where the power comes from.
I feel you have to pick the right faction or the right flexible Grand Alliance to be able to do that strat. Like Iron Jaws probably aren't ever going to be pants.
No.
You could do it with them, or you could, again, that's in Destruction, but Destruction's quite flexible. You could take like similarly based Destruction models and drop in a like a god model, or do big war, or switch over to ogres or something fairly easily because you own like half the army already.
Yeah, so ignore that this is on top of a picture, but you get the idea of what I'm trying to talk about. So say you've got, this is your base power, your army book, your rules, whatever. Then on top of that you go, we're gonna have change the color, sorry. Then we're gonna go, you've got handbook, then we've got end of spells, White Dwarf update, FAQ, Fondia, Wrath of the Everchoke, whatever. Like there's all these iterative things that are modifying the base. Or if you had handbook thing, and your base was a bigger percentage of the balance of your army, the rules and the power, it's a lot easier to be less impacted by those changes because your base isn't reliant on them.
It's also a lot easier to balance them if there's less things.
I'm saying it's not, these things are not equal, so some armies are more affected than others. So some armies just stay powerful because they are, and then the stuff can change, but they're already good, so it doesn't matter.
Nurgle.
But some armies get, but then Nurgle, if anything happens with the points of Puscoils and stuff like that, maybe they're not going to be good. Like, you don't know, because if they're doing really, and this is the other problem, as soon as stuff's doing well, if the win rate gets too high or whatever stat they're using, then they go, we need to fix those. If there's war scrolls being taken in every army, sometimes that's the nature of the army, but then they might adjust those points and then make those models, break those lists. And you're like, well, I don't like the frequency of the rules wankery, because you've got battle scroll, you've got handbook, you've got the battle pack that's in the handbook, you've got a six monthly adjustment or 3 monthly adjustment for points, you've then got white dwarfs, you've got these Fondia thing, whatever this Fondia thing is that going to be more incarnates coming? And I can't, it's too fluid. And I don't want to be on the roller coaster, because I feel like there's a roller coaster and it's speeding down the hill and I'm clinging on the back, holding on.
With your IDK,
flying.
Previous army, and your OBR, which are both hugely affected by things, you're kind of unlucky in the
to stay on, I need to like grip the roller coaster as Games Workshop throw product at me, spending money, or I just let go and just accept that I'm not on the roller coaster, but I can still enjoy it by looking at people going around.
Yeah, painting those models.
So, I don't know
games.
if that's a good analogy. I don't know, but I don't know. It's just a personal way I feel. I'm not saying I'm right. It's wrong. The game's bad. The game's good. Personally, I just feel like I need to get off the roller coaster. It might be because I'm middle-aged now, but but yeah. So I just personally, the game's where it is. It's fine. What would I do in OBR? I would definitely do a Stalker themed list. I probably won't drop all the Mortec because the Mortec were solid, but they are just like all or nothing. But then some of my games, they were amazing. So it's like,
you want to take a 30 block at all? Like at 30 block to be able to survive the big stuff?
Well, maybe what I do is I blob the unit into a 30, and then the points I save, I drop the Bone Shaper, I up the Stalkers to 6.
35
and maybe what would I have? Good. I don't know. But like, if I did that, then it's only painting 3 Stalkers. I've already got them assembled and built, so it's not a big deal. So, but I don't know if I want to play OBR at the next event. And they've just changed Purple Sun, so does that change the army?
Nah,
like, don't think so. But
you benefit from it hugely. The Ren's big.
Well, the Ren's always been there, but it's just the problem I've got is the not being able to kill like a Maw Crusher in one go is a big deal. Because how do I kill it?
Ren affects Maw Crusher. Like, having lost Maw Crushers to the 1 in 6, no longer a thing, and to the other side of it, the Ren really mullers Iron Jaws and especially Maw Crushers.
Yeah.
Like, I lost one to whatever it was, like 3 Storm Fiends in combat because of Purple Sun's Rend.
Yeah, I think I can still play my OBR. I've got some painting to do. I've got like Catcross needs to be the base needs to be repainted. I've got to repaint a Crawler base. I've got like I've got a Cavalos 3 Harvesters, Stalkers, and I've got like some cavalry to paint, so I could paint those, but I don't know. I don't think IDK are very good right now because Thrall's basically a auto, easy to kill. Yeah, they were fragile anyway. Really damage doesn't come from anywhere. You've got no damage. I just don't see me playing them in this handbook. So
let's do a shark on the shelf, which is the exact one you don't own.
I might roll my Nurgle out to the next one. The next event I got is a team event, and then that's probably the last event I've got under this handbook. So I don't really want to paint a new army for it. So
yeah.
That's assuming that it's coming out within 6 months, because I don't think I've got anything else booked up this year. Obviously, FACEHAMMER I'm running, not playing.
Yep.
The other option is to go do what you did and go just take Monster Mash and fuck it. You know, we've seen the Ogre books teased. I've got a
decisions.
Beastclaw Raider army, so
looks good as well.
Yeah, and then I could upscale that. So I am tempted with the Zinch review. I was looking at it and going, there's some good Zinch armies. But I have to paint a Zinch army.
You'd be nasty with Fate Dice. You not having to manage probability would be a bit cruel.
I think if I was bothered about being competitive, I think I'd be on a Zinch army right now.
Yeah.
I also like Soulblight, and they look like they're good now. Again, I don't know how long that'll last.
Very varied.
I need the
hugely wide open book
inclination to paint those, and then I can go with that. So, but to be honest, I've got lots of painted armies, and I'm probably just wherever event I go to, I'll try and fit something around what I've got and not kill myself with painting. And then
well, we're not doing too many events these days, so you've got enough time to prep and bring something pretty if you want, or just last minute it and take.
I've got
whatever
quite a few at the start of next year, like I did this year. So I think there's like 4 or 5 in a row that I go to like in a short period. So like I need an army for that, and I might do something for that. And I'll probably plan something. But then if the handbook's coming in December, if it is 6 monthly, I don't know. Then maybe the list I paint won't be competitive. Like I don't know. Like that's the issue I got right now. I just wish it was stable. Like if the handbook wasn't such a pivot. If they were just nudges, it wouldn't be so bad, but it feels like such a big change. The last one is all monsters, it's all bonus
the frequency,
and now it's like
and the efficacy.
It's like damage and reach, and everything's changed. And you're like, it's too much for me. Like, I just think it's way too much. Anyway, that was Blackout. It was awesome. Thanks, Chris. Thanks to all my opponents. Thanks to people for watching. If you want to see more, you can go on Chris's timeline. I'll put a link to the list below. Give us a like, subscribe, YouTube algorithm, objective markers. You can see in the pictures are on sale and get those from Element Games.
Yeah, we have dice.
They get some dice. Got some dice. We have affiliate code, so you can click through the link. That gives a kickback. We've also got tickets available for FACEHAMMER, I think. So there are some spaces. So if you want to come, buy a ticket, come along.
We'll pop the link below.
The rule pack is obviously available as well. So link will be below.
FAQ show and rules for FACEHAMMER GT show due probably as the next 2. pending army books, I guess, if anything happens.
Pending army books at my availability, basically. So, this will probably be out after the Zinch show. So you've already watched that one, hopefully. So if not, go check it out. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you all in the next one.
Bit, guys. Bye.
Thanks very much. See ya.